Copies all. We're trying to pick these guys off one by one. You got a huge force that's moving, all armed. We did see shots fired.
Roger that. Continue to engage. Continue to engage. Just be advised. Friendly.
Copies all. Hey, 4-5, 4-4, are you tracking all this? Are you engaging?
On that show, I mentioned the 1966 Four Olds movement in China, where the Maoist Red Guard, basically rabid teenagers, ran through most of China, at least the cities, destroyed their old art, destroyed their old statues, destroyed their genealogy logs. Those are really important to Asians. To get somebody ramped up enough to destroy those in an Asian country, you've got yourself a real Morlock or orc or whatever you want to call it. The Four Olds were old culture, old customs, old ideas, and old habits. When the Chinese did this, they did this in the space of a year or two for the most part. They just tore into absolutely everything. Well, I've been paying a lot more attention to this Four Olds Maoist program from 1966. It's been going on in the United States here since the 1970s. How many of you can remember Christmas pageants in school? Easter pageants. Hell, having Easter off specifically as Easter. There was no such thing as spring break. That's what they did with Easter. And then they moved it away from Easter so that you couldn't even point out that it was happening during Easter. We used to have Christmas vacation. We used to give each other Christmas presents in class. Just little things here and there, a pack of gum, I don't know. We went Christmas caroling, door to door, and it was common. There were quite a few people in our neighborhood that would go Christmas caroling. And everybody would dress up in traditional, like, mid to late 1800s clothing to do it and have a great time. Some of the women took great pride in sewing these fantastic dresses from that time period when the area around here that I'm sitting in was settled and founded. This was settled in 1812 is when the town was put in, but there were people here by the late 1700s. It's real good farmland. Real good fishing, you got the rivers here. Anyway, back to our Four Olds thing. All of those things, Easter, Christmas caroling traditions, patriotic American songs, have been carefully scrubbed from our education system over a period of decades. They really went away by the mid-90s. Now you can't even talk about them. If you talk about them, you're a racist. All of our ideas, Southern hospitality, things like that, well, they immediately started using Hollywood to make Southerners look like a bunch of rubes, inbreds and morons, and they're not. I had the pleasure of living in the deep South, all the way down Chickasaw, Alabama, back when I was a boy. They're good, kind-hearted, industrious people that have been made by Hollywood to look like a bunch of hillbillies with bad drawls and incest problems. We're not even allowed to fly our flag in some cases now. Or if we do fly our flag, we get a bunch of people who show up, call us racist for flying it, then try to fly some BS Black Lives Matter flag or a rainbow flag or whatever, and we don't do anything about it. Because we've been taught to turn the other cheek, which is a perverted Bible verse. That only means don't be too quick to anger. Jesus drove the moneylenders out of the temple with a whip or a stick, depending on which account you read. That doesn't sound like we're not allowed to get angry at evil people to me. Our culture, our customs, our ideas, and our habits are being stripped from us. It's the 1966 Maoist program called the Four Olds. In Canada, it is now literally illegal to shake hands. One of our oldest customs dates back before the Romans. One of our oldest customs. Classical Greek and Latin are no longer taught in some universities now. Many universities, probably all universities very soon. Why? It's an old custom, it's an old idea, it's old culture. And they don't want to allow it. What's next is they're going to replace it with new customs, new ideas, new culture, and new habits for their Marxist utopia, except there's no such thing as a Marxist utopia. Look what's happening in Venezuela right now. Gap, I say this all the time. This shit is not funny anymore. Get local, get organized. Reread, and then read again, and then read it again, and then read it one more time. The Declaration of Independence and the founding documents, the Constitution for the United States of America. We don't have to tolerate this. There is nothing in any of our laws that says citizens must bend the knee and come hat in hand and allow politicians and bureaucrats to rob them, to steal from them, to murder them. In the case of at least 5 states in the United States of America this time around, our politicians murdered thousands of people in nursing homes. Then there's all the people who killed themselves out of despair, children committing suicide because of these lockdowns. We're tolerating politicians who murder and steal and abuse us at will because we're told we should. Stop obeying. Stop it. Stop obeying. You have the time to do this, believe me. Because if we don't find the time to do this, we won't have the time to do anything very shortly. Because we'll be foraging for food and burying our loved ones and trying to keep the lights on somehow as we descend into a pit like Venezuela has, where piles of money are literally blowing around in the gutter because they're worthless. Snap out of it. Snap out of it. It's not funny anymore. We do not have to obey or tolerate criminals, murderers, thieves. We do not. It is not lawful. There is no way to say it's lawful. And the laws that we do have expressly provide for the trial, imprisonment, and punishment of these criminals. Politicians are public servants. They're the hired help. It's time to start treating them like the hired help. We need to take our nation back. And we can do it. We just need to summon the will. Find the will, find the time, start fighting back, start local. Get with others. There's a lot of us out there. I just made contact with a local sheriff who's very interested in this. We can do this. Let's take this country back.